Female sexual psychology. Where game begins. Game is the deliberate development of masculine skills used to pursue a chosen mating or reproductive strategy. Central to this process is a clear understanding of female sexual psychology and the evolutionary pressures that shape it. Any serious study of game, whether single game or relationship game, begins with examining common patterns of female sexual response within a given cultural context. As already discussed, the menstrual cycle plays a significant role in shaping desire and receptivity. But this is only the starting point. Female sexual psychology contains layers that are often confusing, indirect, and counterintuitive. Without understanding these dynamics, meaningful insight into women, relationships, or successful application of game is unlikely. This section addresses those underlying mechanisms. Guarding the eggs. While the male reproductive directive can be summarized as spreading genetic material as widely as possible, the female directive operates in the opposite direction. It is centered on protection and selectivity. Sex and pregnancy impose significant biological and social costs on women. Choosing a low-value partner can damage reputation, reduce future options, and carry long-term consequences within her social environment. For this reason, women tend to place substantial barriers between themselves and potential sexual partners. Sexual access is rarely granted casually. Information must be gathered, risks assessed, and value determined before a decision is made. Testing is part of this process. Women evaluate men who seek sexual access to determine whether they are personally and socially worthy. Only after sufficient screening does progression become likely. This selectivity is not arbitrary. It is a direct response to reproductive risk. The feminine need for security. Alongside excitement and novelty, women have a strong psychological need for security. While risk and uncertainty can be thrilling, the consequences of impulsive choices can be severe. Ideally, a woman seeks excitement within a framework that feels stable and safe. Attraction is often evaluated through this lens. Security is not limited to physical or financial safety. It also includes social standing, emotional reliability, and personal well-being. When a woman feels unsafe or uncertain, attraction commonly diminishes or disappears. Stability supports comfort and trust, both of which are essential for sustained interest. At the same time, security alone is not sufficient. A relationship that is safe but dull eventually becomes unsatisfying. For long-term happiness, women tend to balance safety with stimulation. Too much instability threatens future outcomes. Too much predictability drains desire. The allure of excitement. You may have noticed that fun and excitement carry significant weight in female psychology. There is a clear premium placed on stimulation and novelty. While women may be cautious about taking risks themselves, they are often drawn to men who engage with danger, challenge, or intensity. Observing exciting or risky behavior from a romantic interest provides stimulation without requiring direct exposure. The female mind responds strongly to engagement and emotional movement. When stimulation is lacking within a relationship, interest often fades. In such cases, excitement is sought elsewhere, sometimes through new situations or new people. Excitement plays a central role in female sexual psychology. Regular exposure to interest, novelty, and emotional charge helps sustain attraction. Witnessing a potential partner do something bold, difficult, or dangerous can quickly elevate perceived desirability. The importance of emotion. Women tend to place greater emphasis on emotion than on pure logic or reason. Feelings are not treated as secondary. They are often central to perception and judgment. In many interactions, emotional response carries as much weight as rational argument. Hurt feelings are frequently experienced as serious harm, comparable in impact to physical damage. This makes emotional context critical in communication. Although positive emotions are preferred, negative emotion is also used strategically. Expressions of distress, anger, or disappointment can overwhelm an interaction and shift outcomes. Men are often conditioned to retreat from such displays and may not understand their origin or function. For women, how you make them feel matters more than almost any other factor. Emotion shapes memory, attraction, and decision-making. Underestimating its influence leads to confusion and poor outcomes. Female solipsism. Men and women often approach situations from different perspectives. One recurring difference is what can be described as female solipsism, the tendency for a woman to place herself at the center of evaluation. This trait can be frustrating, but it serves a biological function. Because women bear reproductive risk, attention is naturally directed toward how events affect personal safety, status, and future offspring. This focus is adaptive rather than defective. By continually scanning for threats and opportunities and interpreting them through personal impact, a woman prioritizes her own survival and that of her children. This orientation keeps risk salient and response readiness high. This same tendency encourages frequent communication with other women. Information about dangers, social shifts, and mating opportunities is exchanged within shared networks, often referred to as the female social matrix. The female social matrix. Women tend to operate through collective networks that emphasize communication and shared awareness. This system of information exchange is often referred to as the female social matrix. A large portion of a woman's social activity involves updating, receiving feedback, and being briefed by members of her immediate circle, as well as the broader cultural environment. Continuous information flow allows her to locate her position within the matrix and, ideally, improve it. The matrix operates subtly. Much of its communication occurs through implication, context, and unspoken consensus. Within this structure, women cooperate and compete simultaneously, often across shifting social contexts. Men are frequently drawn into these dynamics and may be used as instruments within ongoing social contests. Every woman has access to the matrix and typically participates in smaller sub-networks made up of friends, family, and peers. These networks offer guidance on appearance, cultural alignment, and competitive behavior. At its core, the matrix functions to regulate sexual access and influence mating behavior. Its influence is rarely obvious, but it is persistent. Awareness of its power is essential. The rationalization hamster. Pulled between the need for security and the desire for excitement, women face continual trade-offs in mating and reproduction. Choosing a stable partner often means sacrificing stimulation. Choosing excitement can invite risk and instability. When an uncertain or questionable situation arises, many women rely on rationalization to reconcile desire with consequence. Rationalization allows action without self-blame. By reframing events, responsibility is softened and personal accountability is reduced. Within the social matrix, being blamed for poor judgment carries heavy cost. Rationalization protects status. It provides explanations that make decisions feel justified rather than reckless. This internal process is often referred to as the rationalization hamster. Its function is to generate reasons after the fact, not to prevent behavior in advance. It also extends protection beyond the individual by normalizing similar behavior among other women. One of its most powerful tools is the concept of love. Framed this way, nearly any action can be excused. The rationalization hamster is not an enemy. A woman capable of justifying an impulsive purchase can just as easily construct a justification for sexual behavior. Understanding this mechanism is key to understanding how desire overrides caution. Sexual submission. Despite frequent verbal objections to observable patterns, both men and women tend to respond to dominance in sexual contexts. Women, including those who are otherwise strong and independent, often prefer sexual submission to a man who demonstrates authority and confidence. When submission occurs within socially accepted frameworks, it can elevate a woman's standing within her social environment and contribute to a sense of fulfillment. By contrast, submitting to a man perceived as weak or low status is generally avoided. Men who possess status, visibility, resources, power, or physical strength are widely regarded as high value. Submission to such men is easily justified through cultural narratives such as love or chemistry, which function as acceptable rationalizations. Although rarely stated directly, the strength that generates attraction is dominance itself. The preferred dynamic often involves being drawn into desire despite internal resistance, yielding to a man who is forceful yet controlled. This pattern forms the backbone of countless romantic narratives. It is a recurring theme rather than an exception. Attention. Many women place high value on focused attention from men they are attracted to. This attention reinforces self-worth, signals attachment, and supports a sense of security. It also serves as feedback on presentation and confirms whether a man recognizes her value. Attention functions as information. It communicates interest, prioritization, and emotional investment without the need for explicit statements. In some cases, women may create situations that require intervention or reassurance, drawing increased time, energy, and effort from a chosen partner. When this pattern becomes excessive, it is commonly described as high-maintenance behavior. The desire to be noticed and valued is attractive in moderation. When it becomes constant or disproportionate, it tends to work against long-term male interest rather than enhance it. Female entitlement. A recurring element in female sexuality is a sense of entitlement, the belief that certain outcomes are deserved simply by virtue of being female. Despite rhetoric centered on equality, modern female culture has increasingly emphasized social and legal benefits allocated on the basis of gender. Many women come to expect results that men generally understand must be earned. Among younger women, this entitlement often takes a specific form. There is an assumption that exciting, high-status, dominant men should be available for passion and sexual experience, while a compliant, reliable beta man should later be available for long-term provision and commitment. This belief is rarely examined for its implications. Women often fail to recognize the insult embedded in this expectation, or the contradiction it creates. By overestimating their own position in the sexual marketplace, they talk themselves out of potentially viable relationships and misjudge their leverage. Entitlement distorts perception. When expectations exceed reality, dissatisfaction follows, not fulfillment. Her number. A woman's number refers to the total count of her sexual partners. While some celebrate unrestricted sexual freedom, elevated partner counts carry trade-offs that are often ignored. As that number rises, especially over a short period of time, a woman's capacity to form strong, stable pair bonds tends to diminish. Pair bonding is central to long-term relationship stability and to sustained emotional investment over time. For this reason, many women obscure or downplay their actual number through rationalization. A lack of transparency on this point often signals risk in long-term commitment, as honesty and trust become harder to establish. Women who accumulate many partners rapidly are commonly described as riding the carousel. Within the social matrix, promiscuity is rarely rewarded. Despite public narratives, women remain acutely aware of their number and monitor how it affects perception. This vigilance reflects the underlying need to protect reproductive outcomes and social standing. Shit tests. Within female sexual psychology, a common method of mate selection is the fitness test, often referred to as a shit test. This occurs when a woman makes a request, demand, or challenge designed to assess a man's confidence, boundaries, and capability. These tests serve a reproductive function. They help determine whether a man can provide, protect, and maintain frame while remaining invested in the relationship. Successfully navigating such tests signals strength and stability. When tests escalate beyond reasonable limits, a discerning man either disengages or returns the challenge, rather than submitting to it. Shit tests can appear for almost any reason, or no clear reason at all. Often there is an implied reward attached, suggesting increased intimacy or commitment in exchange for compliance. When a woman repeatedly tests a man without honoring the implied exchange, she is exploiting his effort. Such behavior signals low long-term value. Men who recognize this pattern early avoid unnecessary investment and move on. Understanding shit tests is not about passing every challenge. It is about recognizing when a test is being used to evaluate and when it is being used to extract value. The wall. Despite cultural opposition to age-based preference, male attraction continues to favor youth. Sexual desirability for women is front-loaded, with much of their sexual capital concentrated early in adulthood. While modern narratives encourage delaying partnership in favor of career development, the costs within the sexual marketplace become more apparent over time. Men of quality may value education, but few prefer to allocate a partner's most fertile years to prolonged credentialing. By the mid-20s, a woman's sexual capital typically reaches its peak. By the early 30s, reproductive advantage declines and competition from younger women increases. By 40, securing a high-quality long-term partner becomes significantly more difficult. The period following this decline is commonly referred to as the wall. Not every woman experiences it identically, but awareness of its approach is widespread, even when publicly denied. Fear of diminishing youth and beauty acts as a powerful motivator and shapes behavior across the female social matrix.